I should be canvassing right now. I was planning on being outside knocking on doors, meeting you perhaps, coming to your door, but it is tropical storming outside. It is Friday, August 9th, so I get to be here at 11 a.m. instead of out there. Hopefully, we'll make up for it on a much nicer day. We are continuing to talk about feeling unsafe in our communities. Public transit is a part of everyone feeling safe, not just those of us with cars and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on them, as I mentioned yesterday. But for everyone needs to be able to get around. And as your MLA, I want to look deeply into how to have sustainable public transit options. That doesn't just mean buses or bus lines, especially as we are picking up on the Dillon Consultant report that basically brought into question some of the feasibility of rural bus routes right now. And so I want to pick up where we left off yesterday. This is going to be some policy wonkery, just like yesterday, stuff that I love geeking out in. So I hope you're ready to roll up your sleeves for the next few minutes. I'm not going to drag this out. So again, some of you might be saying, when is this part of Mark's dailies over? And others of you might find it fascinating. Hopefully you do. And like I say, this is not for everyone. It is for me. And that's why, just one more reason why I want to be your MLA. So what we're doing today is talking about the part of the Dillon Consultant report that basically explores the rural demand, okay? And fascinating things in there. It's easy to just say, we should have public transit or we should have rural public transit, which I believe is important. And we need to provide for those who don't have cars. When we create communities that are car-centric, we are pushing out or making life very difficult for those who don't have a car. And in 2017, part of the report that came out to even start the Rural Links bus experiment, that pilot project, was one of the stats was 25% of people don't have regular access to a car. That is significant enough. Now, let's go to the rural transit demand piece here. I am reading off of directly from the Dillon Consulting report that was released in 2020 after the Rural Links project came to an end because it was deemed not feasible. But there's really great stuff in here. Rural transit demand. So what Dillon Consulting did is they looked across the country at other jurisdictions, other areas where population density was low, just like Charlotte County, where we are spread out across the riding of Saint Croix, and they compared the data. So here's some interesting things. One of the initial steps in developing a rural transit model, and again, we need to have this in our community, but one of the initial steps is to understand travel demand and the number of trips that would be taken by transit. So on that bus line, at the end of 20 months, when the $500,000 ran out, there were 6 trips a day, six passengers a day on that bus. The report goes on. In most rural environments where transit's available, transit represents between 0.5 and 1.5 of all trips taken. This is due in part because, and we'll just stop there and say, that means less than 2% of all the trips in a rural community are in most where transit is available. So think about that. So this is other areas where there is some sort of alternative transportation, having your own vehicle, that still only makes up 2%. So it's no wonder that only 6 trips a day were going on this bus to St. John. The mass majority have cars. We are in a car-centric community. However, I want to get to the bottom of this slide because it is important. This is because, why does this happen? Because a large majority of people that move to rural areas have their own vehicle. That's just true. We are seeing population increase in our area, and I do think a lot of those people who are moving to Saint Croix, the riding of Saint Croix, do have their own vehicle. Travel distances to destinations are long. This is what we found from the bus study. It took hours to get to St. John because of the winding through all the communities. Making convenient fixed route transit is less cost effective because of all that, stopping along the way. And then third, access to stops can be a challenge with many rural roads lacking pedestrian infrastructure. So again, that first and last mile piece, people have to get to a bus stop or get to the transit. And then once they get to their destination, they then have to continue on. This is not door to door service. That's another challenge. But a spoiler alert, we do have some amazing services, three in particular, that I'm going to start discussing here once we get through whether or not these solutions are feasible or even the best answer. Now, look at this last part. While these challenges result in a much lower demand for transit service, it also increases the need for members of the community that don't have access to a private automobile. So, like I said, when we are creating car-centric communities, that's great for those of us with cars who have the means to have a car, but those who don't suffer even more. And that is what, as Greens and as an MLA who is advocating for the common good, we need to see life in our communities working for everyone, not just a few, and especially not for the wealthier, more privileged few. I want to get to so much more, but I'm going to respect the fact that, again, this is slightly policy wonky. Hope some of you are enjoying it. And by way of demonstrating, getting into the weeds here, we don't just wave a magic wand. It's easy to say, we need this, or those idiots at the top are not providing that. This is the kind of thing where we also do not like wasted tax dollars. I'm hearing a lot of that. So we're balancing getting us what we need with just setting money on fire, which, it could be said that 6 trips a day, $500,000, nobody really wants to see that. I will remind you that the current government, conservative government, is running on cutting $500,000 a year from our tax revenue base, essentially from the provincial budget, when we need so many things. And what we are saying as the Greens is the money is there and the plans are there to be very efficient. And remember, public transit is one of those things, as we discussed yesterday. If you didn't see that, go back and check it out. It is not 100% sustainable break even. The riders pay in, the municipalities pay in, the provincial government and federal government, where that's available, pays in. And we do think the provincial government should start building out a public transit system in New Brunswick. Currently, there is none to speak of, and we believe that really needs to change. And that's one thing as your MLA that I'll work on for our riding. See you tomorrow. We will continue with this public transit deep in the weeds geekery.